Hey everyone, this is Dave here with Full Armor Gaming, and I'm bringing you guys another video today. And this one is going to be a little bit different. We are going to do something that can be kind of difficult sometimes. We're gonna talk about note taking in D&D as either the DM or the player, but we're going to kind of focus more on the player side of things. Note taking is one of those things that can be difficult in the moment because sometimes it's hard to pay attention to what's happening and still be writing it down the same way. So what I want to do is give some helpful tips that can help when it comes to to playing at the table, still enjoying the moment, still enjoying what's happening, but yet still have the ability to write some of it down so that if you have a DM that does tend to have do a lot of drips where they'll drip information a couple of sessions ago and then it comes back later on, then you can find a way to integrate all that in together in a more cohesive way that doesn't feel like a chore. Because I want it to feel fun. I want it to feel like part of the game to also take the notes. So, first thing is discovering you as a person, how well you're able to pay attention and still note take. If it's one of those where it's like, if I start writing down notes, I will not be able to listen to what's going on, then listening to what's going on is more important than note taking. So I want to make sure I stress that. I don't want it to be the DM's talking, the DM's explaining what's going on, you're writing, but you're not catching the new stuff he's saying, because that can also be really, really frustrating to have to repeat everything again. Second is different ways to enjoy taking notes. Remember, we are playing a game. This is fun. Note taking shouldn't feel like a chore. It should feel like fun. There's a couple things that I have seen done or do myself that helps in that process. The first one that I actually find really fun, I haven't done it yet. I know people that do it. I think it's fascinating. I probably should start doing it myself, is taking notes in character. So what I mean by that is if you're writing down what is happening in the game, you write down what your character observed, what your character felt about something. So if you encounter, let's say, a stable master who is more like kind of like a used car salesman, and you remember that your character really didn't enjoy that guy very much, I wouldn't write the notes of, we encountered a stable master named Tom. It would be, whatever the character you're playing, it's like, really didn't like this sleazy guy that I always felt was trying to cheat us out of our money and all that. It lets you remember the feelings that you had when you were interacting with that character in real time. Or, sometimes even down to taking wrong information down if you know that your character didn't observe the right thing. So, do your best to not metagame in those moments as well. Now, if you're one of those where it's like, I just like to know what's going on in the game, but I'm able to read a note and remember that I wasn't aware of that in character, cool. That's awesome. The DM, I guarantee, is going to really much appreciate you being able to help out towards the other people. A lot of times at table, I like to make sure there is at least one kind of designated note taker. That it's someone that likes doing it, someone that's good at it. That way, the DM has someone they can kind of fall back on that can help out in those moments. Because I will admit, as a DM, I'm a terrible note taker. I'm really good at coming up with stuff on the spot. I very much value having a player at my table that's a good note taker. And I encourage that player to call me out. If I can't quite remember something and they go back to an environment, I don't quite remember what happened, I will refer to that character and be like, all right, again, who's this character's name? Or who is this person's name? And that kind of stuff. Now, there's a couple things that I do as a DM and sometimes even as a player that really, really helps. And I've actually seen this on a Jenny D video. If you haven't seen Jenny D, I highly recommend going and checking out her D&D content. It is very, very, very good. I use an Excel spreadsheet that I just have open. And if I, especially as a DM, if I make up an NPC for the characters, I will put down the person's name, I will put down the city they are in, and then I will put down a couple facts like tavern keeper of said tavern, um, white hair, older human male, something like that. That way, as I'm going through this and people are interacting in time with new NPCs that are constantly getting made up, if my players travel back to a city we haven't been to, I just organize that character sheet alphabetically by city, and then it will organize everyone that they've ever encountered in that city, and they're right there, easy for me to like, hey, we want to go back to said tavern again, and they want to go talk to the tavern keeper. Well, I have written down that in this town at that tavern is so and so, and he is a white human, white haired human male. You know what I mean? Something like that. It's very quick, very like snappy. You can do it real fast, and it is very, very easy to retain that information. So it's also very good to do that as a player if you have that option. Now, some people, they're more like paper and pen. That probably isn't as easy to do without having a whole bunch of papers all over the place. I normally recommend, if you're doing paper and pen, to do sessions and then just start on a new page with a new session and record as much on that page as you can. And it always have labeled at the top of each page what session you're in. And I normally try not to have multiple sessions kind of mashing up on one page. The reason for note taking, guys, is one, it helps you after a session is over to kind of go back and reread it all, because you can kind of, especially if something really cool happens in the session, you can kind of like push a lot of that out of your mind that happened earlier on. And I know for me as a DM, I like to put a lot of little details and stuff, and I like to do a lot of breadcrumbs. So that gives me, as a player, it gives me the opportunity to go back and remember things that might not have been at the forefront of my mind when the session ended. Now, once again, just like to summarize, make sure you're having fun. If it's feeling like a chore to record notes, don't do it. We want to have fun. I'm sure the DM would much rather you be having fun than you being distracted, not really enjoying his game that he's working to build or her game that she's working to build, just so that you feel obligated to take down notes. Okay? It's just, note taking is one of those things that it can very much help you to feel more submersed into the world. And it is something that we don't really talk about a lot, but it can be a very big part of D&D. So that's what I've got. What the other thing I would recommend, as always, like and subscribe so I can keep this kind of content coming to you. Right now, we're really shooting for that 200 subscriber mark. So if you are follower, subscriber, I don't know what to do. It's Facebook, no, YouTube subscriber. If you have anybody that this content you think they would enjoy, please send it over to them, that kind of stuff. Like I said, we are constantly trying to grow this channel. Doing my best to try to keep content coming out. But on top of that, what I would love to see happen is for you to, like in the notes or message me things that also work for you. I'm always trying to learn to be a better DM, a better player. And then if I find stuff, I like to share it on here to other people. I recently just did a video on like some homebrew rules that I like, house rules that I like to do. All but one of those were ones I'd learned from someone else. So that's the beauty of this community, is we can always learn from each other. So on that note, I'm going to end it there, but I hope you guys all have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.